So the first panelist you'll hear from today is Jennifer Sanchez, and she's going to talk about the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And then we'll also be hearing from Meg Talley-Dyer, who is going to talk about the Great Bike Giveaway. Mike Cohn is going to talk about the Caddy Waiver system that he used to get his kitchen renovations done. We're also going to hear from Jeannie Sturkin. She's going to talk about borrowing and lending programs. And then lastly, we'll hear from Jenny McLunas, and she's going to talk about insurance and appeals. So I hope you find this panel very informative. Even if you don't need durable equipment at this time, hopefully you can take this information for the future. So the first person that you're going to hear from is Jennifer Sanchez with Sophia's Wish.
Hello, everyone. So this is Sophia's Wish story. This is our daughter, Sophia. She's almost 19, lives at home rent-free with mom and dad, her cousin, who many of you may have run into her in the care room, dropping off Tatiana, and her dog, Thor. She believes she was born a princess because her grandparents tell her this all the time. And while she can be demanding at times, Sophia is also very affectionate, super social, and is usually in a cheery mood as long as her needs are being met, especially the meals being on time. She is a foodie, after all. Sophia was born with BPAN, and after a very long diagnostic odyssey, she was finally diagnosed at the age of 10. This is back in January of 2017. Throughout the uncertainty before the diagnosis and even after the diagnosis, I spent hours and hours curating learning tools, exploring adaptive toys, and attending expos and resource fairs, all to give Sophia the best that I could offer. We all want to give our children the best quality of life that we can offer, and sometimes we need a little guidance and encouragement to make that happen. Our physical therapist once told me, there's more to life than just attending therapy. After many years of a rigorous in-clinic therapy routine, we were moved to episodic care, which is kind of like periodic care, where essentially you're doing the care yourself at home, implementing activities and exercises. This gave me the desperately needed green light I needed to pull back from this rigorous routine, and frankly, we both had grown exhausted from. It was time to make a few changes. I wanted to continue to implement the exercises and activities that we'd learned at therapy over the years, but in a new and fun, exciting way. Here you can see the original bike we purchased. You can see her knees are just about to touch the neck of the handlebar. While this bike is adjustable, we've had it over 9 years, and she's grown significantly over the years, and, well, we just can't adjust the bike anymore. For our daughter, who's nonverbal, thinking about what she would request for herself if she could speak was a little challenging, but she's always enjoyed movement and feeling the wind in her hair and on her face. Sophia is also super social and enjoys getting out into the community, engaging with friendly faces, and this is important to us as well. Knowing all of this, I decided she needed a custom adaptive trike that could meet her specific mobility needs. It was important to consider what her needs might look like in the next few years as she's still growing, and of course, taking into account disease progression as it relates to individuals with BPAN. Sophia outgrew the previously purchased adaptive trike that was fully powered by mom, and many lessons were learned over the 9 years that we made use of that first trike. Often when specialists or vendors are measuring and outfitting an individual for durable medical or recreational equipment, not much emphasis or thought is being put into what the ease of use for the caregiver or the attendant might look like. Some of the challenges I faced with her old trike was how heavy it was. It became harder and harder to push her on an incline as she grew and increased in weight over the years. And of course, I'm also advancing in age. Also, Sophia could not independently climb onto the bike, which over time put me at a high risk to potentially sustain a back injury. Getting to cross her leg over the center of the frame of the bike was also a challenge. As there was a pulley, her feet would usually get entangled with. So with any durable medical equipment, it's equally important to consider the ease of use for the caregiver or the attendant, and not only the individual who is using that piece of equipment. Knowing what Sophia would likely wish for, I was ready to take the next steps and submit her application to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which I was surprised to learn she was eligible for. And I learned about that through our very own BPAN community. So thank you guys that are out there. I'd done my research to identify models of adaptive trikes that were suitable for Sophia and for myself, and I didn't leave any details out. I reviewed specs from various vendors, inquired about accessories to make a ride more safe and comfortable. This included seat belts, chain guards, footrests, foot plates, and straps, and back support, and pivoting passenger seat for ease of transfer from a wheelchair if needed, and even customizable gears in case she didn't want to pedal. I knew I wanted a side-by-side tandem so I could ride along with her as opposed to pushing her from behind. The bike needed to have an electric assist to help me power the trike, and safety lights as we tend to ride in the evenings outside when it's cooler. We live in Texas, it gets really, really hot. I narrowed down my options to 3 makes and models of electric trikes and felt that these choices would best serve Sophia well into the years to come, even if her mobility worsens. So I was ready to initiate the WISH process. I contacted Make-A-Wish Foundation in my region by visiting wish.org. I was assigned a WISH coordinator a few weeks later after making an application. I worked closely with my coordinator and learned about eligibility requirements for WISH granting. We were given the task of having a second, third, and fourth WISH option in the event they were unable to secure this very, very custom trike for Sophia. Truthfully, I was afraid to get my hopes up in the very beginning. I felt like I was making a mega-wish, really. Make-A-Wish assured me that they would do everything possible to grant Sophie's wish, even if it took longer to secure, and that put my mind to ease, and it really allowed me to wish big. I provided detailed documentation as requested of Sophia's condition to my signed WISH coordinator. This included a physician certification, a physical from her pediatrician, and a recommendation and clinical notes from her physical therapist and physical medicine doctor, so that Make-A-Wish team could have a better understanding of what BPAN looks like. I sent them a link for the BPAN Consensus Guideline publication. They also requested referrals from people who know Sophia well and understand her abilities and limitations. We held periodic meetings along the way to ensure all of Sophia's specific needs, as recommended by her physical medicine team, would be addressed and understood by the trike manufacturer, who, by the way, was across the Atlantic in the Netherlands. Our WISH coordinator, and by the way, I just want to mention this, our bike wasn't even made in the US, it was made all the way in the Netherlands, so then there was, the added logistical, they took care of all of that. So they're just amazing and awesome. Our WISH coordinator followed up with us every 2 weeks, and she let us know how the process was going from the beginning all the way to the end. In our case, it was just over 1.5 years before Sophia's wish was granted. Receiving the trike coordinated with the delivery of the trike and the vendor fitting with the foundation and manufacturer. So I wanted to talk about this again. They're all the way in the Netherlands, so I wasn't really sure how all of this was going to happen, but they made it happen. They took care of all of the logistics to get the trike delivered to our garage, and it actually arrived on my birthday, and I wasn't expecting that, so it was a wonderful surprise for me. I was so excited, and Walter kept telling me, it's not for you, it's for Sophia. I'm like, it's for me and her. In the weeks before the delivery, we made ample space in the garage. Walter likes to collect things, lots of gadgets in there, so I wanted to make sure we had space to receive the bike. We were able to share and celebrate this monumental moment with our family and friends and neighbors, and even Amber and her family. 2 weeks later, when Make-A-Wish went the extra mile to coordinate a parade in our community. Yes, it was so awesome and amazing. Sophia's new adaptive trike has brought her so much joy, and there's no doubt that the quality of her life has been enhanced by this generous gift. Listening to her laughter when we go out for rides truly is medicinal to my soul. Neighbors and dog walkers wave to say hello as Sophia passes them by, and she enjoys all the attention and looks forward to her afternoon strolls. And I'm so grateful for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, its volunteers, its giving partners that made Sophia's wish possible. And I really hope that my story encourages and inspires some of you to make wishes for your own loved ones. Thank you.
A little clip of the parade.
Oh, yes. This is parade day. She loves all the attention. Everybody came out. It was so awesome and amazing. Yes. We rode to a nearby park. Oh, there she is again. Yep.
I am also here to talk to you about a bike. If you told me 14 years ago that the most thrilling moment of my adult life would be a three-wheeled orange tandem e-bike, I would have asked you what you were drinking, followed by if I could have some. But honestly, it might be true, because this bike has become one of the best things that has ever happened to our family. Our daughter is 14 and she has BPAN. And developmentally, she's about 2. So yes, that means we're dealing with the terrible 2s and puberty at the same time. Correct. It's wonderful. Just kidding. But don't let her fool you. You know, she is full of fire. I'm sure you all have heard her fire this week. She's sweet, she's hilarious, she's dramatic, she's stubborn, and she's very loud like her mother. Yes, I know, she's my mini-me. She loves to swing, she loves to dance and go fast, and really, she's just joy in motion until you tell her no, and then you better buckle up. We knew early on that she would love to ride a bike. We also knew that a traditional bike was never going to work. Like many of you, we were hit with sticker shock when we saw how expensive these bikes could be. I mean, it was more than my last car, maybe not really. So we came across the Great Bike Giveaway because of our BPAN Facebook group. Someone mentioned it and said, you should check it out. So I did. And they have this program where families can get a bike. So you can either win a bike through voting, people voting for you, or you can fundraise. And if you fundraise enough, you can secure that bike for yourself. There was a very scrappy voice inside my head that told me I had to make sure that Dylan got the joy of riding a bike. So the first year we tried in the Great Bike Giveaway, we didn't fundraise. I created a page, I threw it out there, and I crossed my fingers. We didn't win, and I was disappointed, but I learned. And so we tried again in 2024. This time I knew I had to fundraise, and I loathe asking people for money. I really loathe asking people for anything, but money is really hard. And I am very passionate about the fact that if I am going to fundraise, I'm going to do it for research because it is the one thing that gives me hope. But I pushed myself, and I knew I needed to take the leap because Dylan deserved this. I was blown away, I mean, truly blown away at the friends, family, coworkers, and even other parents of rare kids who donated to try and help us get this bike. They showed up, they voted, they shared. No other fundraising effort I've done has been this successful, and I think it really was because it was tangible. People could see this bike, they could think about their experience as a child riding a bike, the wind in your hair, and it really, 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 really helped. So here we were, giving this little girl the chance to ride a bike through her neighborhood with the wind in her hair. By mid-March, we had fully funded this bike. It is a bright, as you can see, orange side-by-side, slightly ridiculous tandem bike. You can't see them here, but we also have bright flags on them. And it's even more special because it's an e-bike. And you might have noticed that I wear oxygen. The idea of riding a bike is just not within my reach, but now we can go out together and be ridiculous. And so now we ride everywhere. We ride around the neighborhood. We ride along the canals in Phoenix. We go take it on vacations. We took it to the beach. We took it to Lake Havasu. And you can see some of the photos up there. And do you see the Skronskis up there? Quinn even got it on some of the fun. This bike has become such an important part of our life. Dylan asked to ride it approximately 743 times a day. It could be 125 degrees outside and she wants to go ride the bike. It's a lot. Or 2 degrees, but it's never 2 degrees in Phoenix. She just wants to ride because this bike, it's hers. It's her joy, it's her movement, and it's her independence. And more than just that, it reminded all of us that Dylan deserves joy. Not just function and not just safety. She deserves joy. The thrill of a hill, the breeze on her face, the sheer ridiculous freedom of being a child. So if you're sitting here feeling overwhelmed, and let's be honest, we're all overwhelmed. There are programs out there. like the Great Bike Giveaway, but so many others. And so I strongly encourage you, talk to your therapist, talk to your doctors, talk to your network around the things that you think you'd like to bring to your child. You will be surprised that you will find something. There are opportunities out there. So don't stop looking, and don't stop asking, and don't stop fighting for your kids' joy. Because sometimes, almost cried there. Sometimes it's not just a bike. It's a lifeline. And it's a moment of joy in what can feel like a completely overwhelming life. Thank you.
Hi, so I'm Jeannie Sturkin. I'm going to talk a little bit about how you might consider getting some equipment when you're in the midst of you identify something you might need, and you're either going to be applying to insurance to help cover it, or it might be something that insurance wouldn't cover. And I'll give you a few ideas of ways to do that, and then give you some concrete things that we've done in our family. First of all, like Meg and Jennifer have said, is you want to talk to other people. You want to see what's in your community and your state and other families, what they've secured, because I think that that's where we've learned so much is through other families in our neighborhoods. Social workers, different agencies such as the ARC, and another agency that as your individual ages is the ADRC, the Aging and Disability Resource Center, and they're a source of a lot of information. They may not be helpful in securing equipment, but they are good contacts for you. Also the disability, the DD Council, disability, I can't think of what the other D stands for, but all these acronyms. So some of the resources you might consider are grants, contests, eBay, where you pay for something yourself, or Facebook Marketplace. Other families might have some equipment that they're no longer using, or they purchased and discovered that they aren't really going to be able to use it for their individual. Scholarships are available, and we have utilized more recently, as our daughter, who is now almost 28, we've found lending libraries or lending closets, which are very helpful for obtaining all sorts of different type of equipment. And also, sometimes companies will offer sales or discounts at certain times of the year. In the fall, the autism community has apps that are often listed on their different pages that are on sale, or companies will offer discounts. In Wisconsin, we have a wonderful communication company called Attainment Company. If you look at the silent auction over there, we've brought a few of their products that they've donated, but they offer discounts to Wisconsin families. I don't know, I got a Go Talk Now from them years ago, and they gave me, I think, half off. I don't know what their discount is now. So for grants, when our daughter was first in school, one of the speech and language pathologists, unbeknownst to us, went and applied for a grant that was offered by the Sheriff's Department, and we obtained a communication device. It was a communication switch. It was through a small grant that she was aware of. And that was something I hadn't ever even approached on or given any thought to, so she did it on our behalf. We have a foundation grant that's available. Again, we're from Wisconsin, so excuse me if I reference a lot of these, but WISPACT is a foundation grant that we've used now. Catherine is in her own apartment with a residential agency, and for exercise we got a treadmill, which was purchased through this foundation grant. They also purchased a standalone air conditioning unit to go into her bedroom, as there wasn't an air conditioner in there. And they issued a check for so many dollars, and when we went to purchase the treadmill, it was on sale, so we had some dollars left over, and of course the company wouldn't refund that, so we purchased a few like medicine balls and other pieces of equipment that would use up the balance on that. There's charitable groups such as the Elks, the Lions, Kiwanis, or even Easter Seals that will often support if you directly go to them and say you have a specific need that you'd like. Contests such as the bike giveaway. Before Catherine was diagnosed with BPAN, we had a Rett syndrome diagnosis, and as part of the Rocky Mountain Foundation Rett syndrome group, she won an iPod years ago. Through other families, and Facebook, again, my age is showing, but it's a great way to connect with other people. We discovered a device. We had a raised counter at the time, and to put Catherine up to the counter was really difficult as she grew. So we found this thing called an up-down chair. It took her from the floor and it raised her up to the counter height. And we connected with that mom, and she actually lived in Maine where we vacation every summer. Well, I had to ask for help from someone, and that's sort of a hard thing to do sometimes, but I happened to approach my brother, and he managed to load it up and bring it back to Wisconsin for us. Another time, I went to eBay and found a tandem bike in Boston. Same thing, my brother hauled that back to Wisconsin for us. So you can see that sometimes, even though he was family, it's still hard to always ask other people for assistance with things. eBay is also good when you outgrow the stroller that maybe is no longer fitting your loved one. I sold both an adaptive stroller and our tandem bike and some old shoes that fit for the AFOs on that. So you can be creative and find different ways to access different equipment that you might need. Scholarships are out there for therapeutic riding, for a communication camp in Minnesota called Closing the Gap, for the NBIA meeting for first-time attendees. Camperships at our Easter Seals are available. But what I really find helpful now are called lending libraries, and they will offer temporary loan and might bridge the gap between when you might obtain your equipment issued by insurance, or if it's something that insurance might not cover. The real blessing of the lending library or lending closet, though, is that you can trial equipment to see if it's even going to work. We've discovered in the past, when we are thinking that something's going to fit for our daughter, when we get it, it's maybe not quite as helpful, or it doesn't quite work the way we had intended it to. Such as a bike that's really hard to pedal when you've got two people on it or whatever. So if you can trial something, it really is helpful. Some of the items that we've gotten through the lending library include a wheelchair that was sort of an interim until our insurance paid for the custom-made wheelchair that she has now. Simple things like a gait belt, a child gate, a Hoyer lift, a bath chair for when Catherine's in our home. We used a Riften bike, which she took into school and sort of was a bridge between the time that she had outgrown the school's bike until they could get a appropriate sized one. Then I turn around and donate the things that we no longer need, such as a bath lift that we had at our home, our old bikes and strollers. So it benefits us and also other families. When you attend some conferences too, such as communication ones, oftentimes the different commercial vendors will offer things like free books for certain classes that you sit in, or even codes for their apps so you can try them out. So I really encourage you to sort of look out there for those type of situations where you can borrow equipment, talk to other families, and possibly they can give you things that they've outgrown. As I was saying, Catherine also got a running chair last fall when they had a Christmas sale with Ainsley's Angels. So I'd been having that on my list of wants for a long time, but they were always sort of expensive. They cut it in half, and so we snapped that up. So just some ideas for you to think about, and talk to each other and find out what are their favorite things that might help at different stages. Thank you.
All right, I think we're ready now. Mike, here's your video.
Hello, my name is David Merveld. I have known Michael since the first grade. I am the videographer, and Mike has asked me to be the voice for this video. My name is Michael Cohn. I hope you learn a lot today. In Minnesota, I qualify for the CADI program, or the Community Access for Disability Inclusion CADI waiver. This program that provides home and community-based services to children and adults with disabilities who require the level of care provided in a nursing facility. These services are an alternative to institutionalization. The services help a person live as independently as possible in community settings and promote optimal health, independence, safety, and community integration. To be eligible for the CADI waiver, a person must choose to live in a community and meet all the following criteria. Be eligible for medical assistance MA based on a disability or other eligible status. Be eligible for medical assistance MA based on a disability or other eligible status. Refer to the MIMS code for the HCBS waiver, AC program eligibility section on the CBSM waiver, AC program overview. To be disabled by Social Security or the Medical State Review Team, SMART process. To be younger than 65 at the time of opening the waiver for the first time. Be assessed using MinChoice to need the level of care provided in a nursing facility. Have an assessed need for support and services beyond those available through the MA state plan. This video will show 3 parts of Mike's CADI kitchen makeover. Step 1, Mike's old kitchen and why he requested help from the county. Step 2 is the demo. And step 3, voila, a new kitchen accessible for years to come. February each year, I have a yearly review for services I get and need. The meeting runs about 90 minutes with 5 people attending. A county case manager, CADI case manager, job coach, and a PCA, and of course, me. A large part of the meeting is goal setting. I had 3 goals this year. One was to find a job that gave me consistent hours every week. Second was getting out of debt. Third was getting help with my kitchen makeover that was more accessible. This was not an easy step. I learned a lot over the course of 16 months, and I also learned to be patient. For any of those who know me, that is a challenge. To get this accomplished, you will need to have your ducks in a row. Duck number 1 is an OT, occupational therapy home assessment. This is key to get your needs met. Duck number 2 is to be realistic. Be able to prove why you need these accommodations. In my case, I did not want any upper cabinets because for me that was a falling hazard, and I did not want to end up in the ER. The county wanted to have a pull-out, pull-down cabinets, which I had before, and I really did not like them. So I had to explain in great detail that I did not want something just because it was trendy or an easy fix according to the old rules. New ideas had to be approved by the county before bids could be made, but I wanted something safe And long term, that kept me independent. Duck number 3, have somebody draw up a draft with all the correct measurements. I used Lowell's kitchen design staff to help me put together a plan, and they did an amazing job. When it came time to order, the county got 40% off because there was a sale going on. Duck number 4 is to be available for people to come out for bids. The county required to provide at least 2 companies when they will select a bid based on price. In my case, this took 16 months because I did not know about the home assessment until 7 months into making my request. One of the companies kept dragging their feet because they didn't know how to make my ideas become a reality. The county didn't know all that was required at first either. So I want to help the next person who makes a request to avoid this issue. 16 months later, a new home, same address. As you can see, the new kitchen is open and has many unique features. During the design stage, Kathy gave some suggestions for the kitchen, which I now have in place. The pull-out trash was a must for me. The pull-out Lazy Susan allowed me so that I didn't have to get on my knees anymore. The upper oven allowed me to cook without getting on my knees as well. The counter space allows me to cook and clean up much more easily. The under-mounted sink allows me to clean up everything and move it straight to the sink. I love having the dishes under the stove, which gives me easy access. When all this began, I didn't have a clue how much money I would have to come up with. I was prepared to have about $5,000 out of pocket. I was surprised when Caddy told me my out-of-pocket cost would be just for the appliances only. Because I have a trust fund, the trust fund paid for the appliances. Because of all the costs, we had to do 2 different payments, one for 2024 and then one for the next year, 2025. I had X amount of dollars in each year that my Caddy waiver gets. They split the payment so I could cover it with 2 years of my Caddy waiver allowance. The cost of the whole thing is $52,000, but I don't believe that the company will end up using all of it. I am hoping Caddy will pay less at the end, but I will never know.
Mike asked me to read this after his video for him. MBIA family, I want to share one more thing with you. 5 years ago, I had decided that a job doing security was important. Using a chair was a way for me to improve my life. Now I have a job doing security where I am very active. Physically, I work 8 hours minimum of the 14 hours on game days or concerts. I have a walker I still use, so I have not deteriorated. Thank you for your time. I hope this helps.
For the last, we're going to give Jenny McLunas a little bit more time, so we've got 10 more minutes. Thanks, Jenny.
Thanks. I am Jenny McLunas. I am the mom of Elliot. He's actually in the back there. He's a 9-year-old, very chill but often cheeky little boy that has BPAN. He was diagnosed in October of 2017. Over the years, Elliot's care has required more and more equipment, and we have got most of our equipment through insurance. And so I'm here today to talk about our experience and to level set, just right at the front here. I do have private insurance that covers us as a family, and then Elliot also has secondary coverage through Medicaid. I want to acknowledge that Medicaid is very different state to state in the U.S., and so I'm not going to spend any time talking about what's available for him. But I would just say that if you haven't already explored Medicaid coverage for your individual with NBIA, I do think it's worthwhile to see what they're eligible for and what that would cover. So Elliot, as he's grown, he's gotten bigger, his needs have increased, and he needs equipment for most aspects of daily living. So he does have, I'm going to just run through the things that he has and then talk about what's been successful for us in terms of having insurance cover it. So he does have a GJ tube. He had a G tube prior to that for years. So we would have feeding pump, supplies, and when he had a G tube, the replacement tubes that we'd have to change out periodically. That insurance only likes to give you so many every so many months. From a respiratory perspective, he has a suction machine, a cough assist, a shake vest, a nebulizer, a BiPAP machine that he sleeps with overnight, and an oxygen concentrator for when we need that. From an ambulatory perspective, he's had activity chairs when he was younger. He's had standers. He's on his third wheelchair at 9 years old. As he's grown and needed more support, he has had more AFOs than I could possibly count, torso braces and wrist splints. And then a couple other things that we have for him is a sleep-safe bed, a pulse oximeter, bath chair, and most recently a Hoyer lift because he's over 50 pounds now and getting big. So just wanted to set the stage on all of the equipment that we have. Like I said, most of that was provided by insurance. We did benefit from some donated or borrowed equipment like was mentioned, and so I do encourage you to see if that's available in your area as well. That was really helpful for us when we had periods of time where insurance wouldn't cover it or we were waiting too long. So to speak first to ambulatory equipment, that's something for us that's usually driven by his PT and OT. His pediatrician has to ultimately order the equipment, but we work most closely with the therapists because they know Elliot the best. They know what he needs. They know what's going to be best for him. His pediatrician doesn't have that specialized knowledge, so we utilize them to do his evaluations and to write up the request to insurance for what is going to be best for him. So as I encourage everyone here to have, the strongest relationships you can with your individuals, therapists, and other medical providers. It's really, really helpful in the process of getting insurance to approve equipment. The first thing that to make sure that you're doing for getting equipment is, and this sounds really basic, but think about the individual's needs and not just the fact that they need the equipment, but what do they need the equipment to do for them? What kind of modifications might they need for it? What kind of extra parts or different parts than what comes with it might they need? And then this was mentioned a couple times, especially with the bikes, but what do you and other caregivers need in order to for that equipment to be used in a safe and effective way for the individual? One example that we have that kind of ties all of those things together is Elliot's bath chair. His first bath chair was denied it was a convenience item. So we actually were able to borrow one for the first couple years. But we were successful in getting him a bath chair more recently. We had his OT and the equipment rep actually come to our house so they could see where we were going to bathe him, so they could make sure that whatever we were getting was going to be the best suited for our home and for us as caregivers to him. So we knew we were going to start out with a standard tub, but that as he grew, we were going to need something that was at a higher level for us to transfer more safely and to use in a shower setting as well. So we were able to get a bath chair that had a rolling removable stand under it. We can use that in the tub and we can use that in the shower. It also was large enough that he'll be able to use it for quite a long time. I think that's something also important to think about is the equipment that you're getting, is it an option to get something that they can actually grow with? It's an easier case, I think, to make to insurance that it can last longer. But if nothing else, it takes out an extra request that you have to deal with for them if you can get something that will go for longer miles. The other thing that we've done that's been successful in increasing the chance of getting your equipment approved and on a more reasonable timeline, I would say it all takes a long amount of time. But another thing that we've done is thinking about what we can take from current equipment to new equipment that we need. So example that I have there is Elliot's most recent wheelchair. When we were requesting that, we worked with his equipment rep and determined what on his existing wheel or his previous wheelchair could be removed and taken on to and attached to the new one. So anyone that's gotten a wheelchair knows that like it comes with almost nothing. You have to add on footrests and the proper armrests that you need for the individual, headrests that are going to work for them. All those kind of things are all add-ons that complicate the insurance claim. They make it more expensive. They make the ask bigger. And so if you can reduce the ask there, we've found it successful in being able to get it approved quicker and get approved in whole instead of having it denied or pieces of it denied. So something else to consider if it's not everything's like that, but if you have wheelchairs or other things like that where you can transfer pieces, I would recommend exploring that. His respiratory equipment is that we've had for him has been, I would say, probably easier to obtain than ambulatory equipment. I think that it's perceived as more medically necessary. Everything's medically necessary, right? But we did have to advocate quite a bit for his shake vest that he has. We were told by his pulmonologist over and over, like, you're not going to get that covered for him. It's only for kids with cystic fibrosis. It's not, we're not going to be able to get it. But we kept advocating for it. We got a second opinion. I showed them, like, look, there's other kids with BPAN. They have a shake vest. This works really well for them. He needs this. And doing that, advocating, finding somebody that will listen, really made a difference in them making the case for that, for Elliot, to our insurance and getting that covered. Want to stress again just the importance of those relationships with your individual's therapists and medical providers. They can really be beneficial. I think for them to be so beneficial, they really have to understand your child and understand their needs with whatever disorder that they have. So advocating and educating those individuals is so important. But we found Elliot's therapists to be really helpful because they're just excellent resources at writing up the case for the equipment that he's needed. They're especially helpful in the appeals process. So I mentioned that bath chair denial earlier. That one we were not successful on early on, but we have had other equipment that's been denied that we have appealed and have been successful in getting it covered. So one of those things was, on the topic of appeal letters, those can be really difficult to write. They can be really difficult to read. A lot of times, and this was mentioned previously, but it doesn't, or in an earlier session, but it doesn't always benefit you to show the sunny side of everything all the time. In cases where you're trying to get insurance to cover equipment, you have to really let them know, like, here's what could happen, and it is often the worst case scenario, and that's hard to read. It's in a letter. It's hard to accept as a potential reality, but it's important that your individual gets the equipment that they need. And so having a letter that really expresses to insurance, this is what could happen if this individual is not given this equipment, does not have access to this, and this is a huge problem. Here's why. So that's a really important theme to have in your letters. We've had his providers help write his letters. I think they can be hard to know where to start on. I would see, if you're looking for particular equipment and you're getting denied and you're looking to appeal it, ask around, ask others if they've been successful, see if they have an example appeal letter that you can use. Honestly, I would also try something like ChatGPT or other AI options like that to draft an initial draft of a letter for you, and then you can go through and tailor it for what your individual needs specifically. So they're challenging. They are the appeals process is frustrating. It can be very long. It can definitely be frustrating. But I would just suggest any resources that you have, people, especially providers, get them involved in it with you. One of the more extreme things I've done to get insurance to cover medical equipment is to change providers altogether. We did have, when we were trying to get Elliot's VNS device covered by insurance, the insurance company that I had at the time would not cover the model that his neurologist thought was best for him. And we appealed over and over, and they would not budge on it. And so I did my homework on my options, and I did have options, so I understand I want to recognize that's not the case for everyone, but I did have an option to change plans and change providers at open enrollment. And so I did the legwork of, were we going to be able to see all the same specialists, have the same therapies, have the same prescription coverage, all that kind of thing with the new insurance, and then went and changed it at open enrollment. Did get his device, excuse me, and surgery approved, but it didn't come without the cost of hours and hours of my time fighting with pharmacies and insurance and doctors to get all the prescriptions set back up again. So it's not the easy button way to go, but it is an option that we've done. One sec. I will say, anecdotally, we have heard from his therapist that there are some insurance companies that are just harder to get to cover DME. And so if you do have options, I do think it's worth, exploring what could be covered by another insurance company or another plan to see if that is an option for you. And then the last thing that I just wanted to mention, when insurance won't cover anything or won't cover something or is going to take so long that it's you need something in the meantime or you need something quicker. One thing that we've done when the cost of the equipment is not too significant is utilize the flexible spending account. So we have, I have through my employer the ability to set aside money pre-tax and use that throughout the year on eligible medical supplies and equipment. And so there's some stuff where I just know this is going to take way too long for insurance to even respond to us. They're probably going to deny it. It's not worth, the hassle of that. Then I use those flex spending account funds for that purpose. That's what I have. I'm happy to, I think all of us are happy to answer questions. And then I'm an open book about it. So if you see me around the rest of the weekend, I'm happy to talk about it to anyone.
Thank you guys so much for sharing your experiences and your expertise in your areas. Mike would like me to let you know that he's giving away free t-shirts. He'll be back at the merchandise table. So he's got them in green. Green, pink, and orange. Thank you guys very much. Enjoy your last break before the last breakout sessions.